Before we start, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family. Also, can you please tell me where and what time you're watching? Thanks. We were broke college students, desperate for cash, when we found the ad. It almost seemed too good to be true. No experience needed, $150 per shift. Night guard positions available, 3 slots. Looking back, I wish we had trusted our gut feelings. I should have known better. There were 3 of us, myself, L, my best friend, K, and our other close friend DK and I had been inseparable since childhood. The kind of bond where words weren't needed to know what the other was thinking. D, with his laid-back nature and wicked sense of humor, fit in with us like a puzzle piece. We were the type of trio that could turn even the dullest night into something memorable. The moment we applied, we got a response within hours. Almost like they had been waiting for us. No interview, no follow-up questions. Just a simple directive. Report to the amusement park tonight. K and D's emails told them to arrive at 8 p.m. after the park closed. Mine, however, instructed me to be there by 5:30 p.m. It felt odd, but I rationalized it. Maybe I was getting a head start or extra pay. By 5 p.m., I told them I'd see them later and made my way to the park. It was closer than I expected, but when I arrived, something felt off. The place was eerily quiet, despite the fact that it still had a few hours before closing. A note was taped to the front gate. "Welcome, new security guard. You may notice, the park is empty. This is intentional. We want you to have time to prepare before your shift starts." You may be wondering where the other 2 guards are. They will arrive when your shift starts at 8 p.m. You likely already know this. Be in the security room by 7 p.m. At precisely 7:30 p.m., you will go to the front gate to let your colleagues in. They will arrive at 7:35 p.m. Sharp, not a moment sooner. If you see anyone at the gate before then, do not let them in, even if they act irrational, even if they call out to you. This rule applies while you are exploring the park as well. At 8 p.m., all of you must be in the security office. No exceptions. Your shift ends at 8 a.m. Good luck. Something about that note made my skin crawl. The phrasing, the unnatural repetition. It felt wrong. I checked my phone. 5:17 p.m. I should have texted K and D right then and there. I don't know why, but I couldn't. I wanted to. I tried, but some strange force kept me from pressing send. My hands hovered over the screen, yet I felt an overwhelming urge to follow through with the job. I told myself I was just being paranoid. With a deep breath, I pushed open the front gate. It was unlocked. The moment I stepped inside, it slammed shut behind me with a metallic click. I spun around, gripping the bars. Locked. This was a joke. Some elaborate prank, right? My heart pounded. My phone read 5:20 p.m. I dialed K's number. Nothing. Not even a ringtone. Confused, I tried again. Still, nothing. Then, that feeling. I wasn't alone. Slowly, I lifted my head toward the front gate, and I screamed. K was standing there, staring at me through the bars. But it wasn't him. His grin stretched, impossibly wide, too wide, like his skin was struggling to hold his face together. His eyes, dark and hollow, locked onto mine as though peering straight through me. I took a step back, and his mouth moved. "I could feel you trying to call me, El. We have that bond, remember?" My blood ran cold. "That's not K. Where's D?" I managed to croak out. "He's on his way now," K said, still smiling, his voice just slightly wrong, like someone trying too hard to mimic his speech patterns. I took another step back. I'm going to go check out the park." Suddenly, K lurched forward, slamming his fists against the gate. The entire structure rattled violently. "Let me in, El." I didn't think. I just ran. My feet barely touched the ground as I tore through. The empty park. My breath coming in ragged gasps. It wasn't him. It couldn't be him. Every instinct in my body screamed that whatever was at that gate was not my best friend. I finally stopped near the Ferris wheel, forcing myself to check. The time, 5:30 p.m. I had an hour and a half before I needed to be in the security room. For the next hour and 25 minutes, I wandered in a daze. The rides, the booths, everything was abandoned, frozen in time, like the whole park had been left to rot overnight. There was no wind, no distant chatter of customers, just the deafening silence. I passed by the front gate once more. I didn't want to look, but I felt something watching me. Slowly, I turned my head. Kay was gone. I could still feel those eyes on me, lurking somewhere beyond the gate. The sensation drilled into my bones like icy needles, an unnatural weight pressing on my chest. My fingers trembled as I checked my phone. 6:57 p.m. I swallowed hard, remembering the note I had found earlier. After what just happened, maybe it was time to take it seriously. The security office loomed ahead, a steel box bathed in the flickering glow of the overhead lights. I stepped inside, my heart hammering against my ribs. Instinct screamed at me to lock the door, and I obeyed without hesitation. The moment the clock struck 7, the air exploded with raw, guttural screams. A barrage of fists slammed against the security door. With such force, I swore the hinges would give way. The sound was primal, inhuman, a chorus from the pits of hell itself. My breath hitched, and my legs locked in place as a cold sweat slicked my skin. I was trapped, helpless, my mind flashing through every regret, every unfinished chapter of my life. Was this it? Was this how I died? Time distorted, stretching endlessly, yet rationally. I knew it couldn't have been more than 30 seconds. And then, silence. I exhaled shakily and inched toward the security monitors. My hands trembled as I switched to the outdoor feed, expecting... What? A bloodied corpse? Some unspeakable horror? But the screen revealed nothing. The hallway outside was eerily still, empty. My eyes darted to the clock on the wall. 30 p.m. That couldn't be right. I stared harder. The seconds hand didn't move. My stomach twisted. What kind of hell was this? I stammered out the time. 7:40. The note had said all security staff needed to be inside the room by 8 p.m. No exceptions. My gaze snapped back to the desk. A key sat there, the key to the front gate. My pulse thundered. Whoever left that note knew what was happening here. I had no choice but to trust them. With a deep breath, I unlatched the door and sprinted toward the front gate. My legs burned, lungs heaving, but fear pushed me forward. What should have been a 5-minute run felt like an eternity, yet I made it in just one. K and D were already there. K's face was pale, his expression serious. This time, he was real. "Thank God you're here," I gasped, doubling over. "What the hell is going on?" D demanded, his voice edged with frustration. "This job's a nightmare," I panted. "I'll explain everything. Just follow me. We need to get to the security room." I fumbled with the gate lock, let them in, and secured it behind us. As we walked, I recounted everything. What I had seen, what I had heard, the screaming, the impossible time shift, the note. We reached the security office at 7:58. D scoffed. "Dude, this sounds like some horror movie bullshit." "I don't know," Kay said hesitantly. He wouldn't make this up. I reached into my pocket to pull out the note. My fingers brushed against nothing but fabric. My stomach dropped. What the... I frantically patted myself down. "The note's gone." A thick silence fell over us. "Great," D muttered. "Told you he was bullshitting." Before I could argue, something on the monitors caught my eye. Papers. 3 sheets, each labeled with our names. I grabbed mine. Rules for L. Do not, under any circumstances, break these rules. They are your Bible tonight. Lock the security office door every time you enter or leave after 8:15 p.m. You have the worst job tonight. Your friends have it easier. At 8:30 p.m., you must begin your rounds along the amusement park perimeter. You will not see your colleagues during this time. You will complete one full circuit of the park within an hour. No breaks. If you see anyone trying to escape, yell at them. They will run back. This is normal. They will not harm you or your colleagues. If someone tries to break in, run. Get to the security office within 10 minutes. The furthest point takes 30 minutes to walk. No one has had to run from there. Yet, no matter what happens, no matter when you return, the page cut off. A sharp knock echoed against the security door, and then came the whisper, "Let me in." The amusement park at night was a different world, a hollowed-out shell of joy, stripped of its daytime laughter. The neon lights flickered, barely keeping the creeping darkness at bay. I checked my watch. 10:25 p.m. Time for my first round. You don't want to know what happens if you don't leave before 10:30. The night supervisor had warned me on my first shift. I thought he was messing with me, but the look in his eyes told me otherwise. I zipped up my jacket and stepped out of the security office, the old wood door creaking behind me. The air was thick, almost electric, as if something unseen stirred in the distance. I had an hour to walk the park. No one would be breaking in or out. This was just routine. That's what I told myself, at least. The attractions loomed in eerie silence, lifeless, yet watching. I felt it in my bones. The tilt-a-whirl sat motionless, its paint chipping under the dim park lights. The Ferris wheel groaned softly in the wind, though no one had touched it. I kept walking, my footsteps muffled against the pavement. At 11:30, I returned to the security office. The clock had barely moved. It felt like 5 minutes, or an entire day. I could never tell. At 12:30 a.m., K took his post on the outskirts, and I replaced D. 3 hours to make my rounds. Plenty of time, as long as I covered every inch of the park. This was where the rules started to get under my skin. Earlier that evening, something had been at the front gate. A shadow, a figure. I wasn't sure. I had brushed it off. Now, the rules told me I'd see it again. I walked with caution, checking behind me every 5 minutes. The first 30 minutes were uneventful. Then, at exactly the 35-minute mark, I felt it. The weight of unseen eyes pressed against me. A figure stood beneath the dim glow of a popcorn stand, featureless, yet unmistakably human. My throat tightened. I remembered the rule. Make eye contact for 15 seconds, then blink. 1, 2, 3. The figure remained, motionless, expectant. My skin crawled. 11, 12, 13. My vision blurred, but I forced myself to wait. 15. I blinked, and it was gone. But the air was heavier now, thick with something unspoken. Every 15 minutes, I checked behind me. It never returned, at least not while I was looking. By 3:30, I made it back. The security office stood like a sanctuary, but I had to wait. Another rule. I glanced over my shoulder one last time. Empty. The moment the clock hit the mark, I slipped inside and locked the door. I exhaled, finally allowing myself to breathe. Whatever had been out there, it had left. For now. But I wasn't done. Still had to inspect the park's buildings, the operation stations, food courts, restrooms, and that meant more rules. The first restroom I passed was silent, safe. I kept moving. The next had crying coming from inside. My stomach turned. The rule was clear. I had to check it, even the stall where the sound was coming from. I stepped inside, my boots echoing on the tile. The sobbing was softer now, almost distant. I reached the stall and hesitated. The crying stopped. A cold dread washed over me. I backed away, making as little noise as possible. I was almost at the door when a whisper crawled up my spine. "Stay." I bolted out, the air in the park suddenly feeling colder than before. I passed another restroom. This time, laughter drifted from the women's side. I ignored it, whispering, "Sorry for ruining the mood," just as the rules instructed. The laughter ceased instantly. At the men's restroom, laughter again. Low, unnatural. The rules said to ask, so I did. "What's so funny?" Silence, then a voice, sickly sweet. "You." I laughed, the sound forced and hollow, the laughter on. The other side continued, blending into something else, something wrong. I didn't wait to see what happened next. I checked my watch, 3:28 a.m. 2 minutes to get back to the office. I ran. At exactly 3:30, I reached the door, heart hammering. I yanked it open and slammed it shut behind me, locking it tight. Outside, the park exhaled, settling back into its eerie silence. I had survived another shift, but tomorrow, I'd have to do it all over again. Rule number 9 applies only to me. At exactly 3:33 a.m., the screaming and knocking will begin again. No matter how hard the banging is, no matter how gut-wrenching the screams sound, I must not react. No one else will hear it. It knows I'm here. The sound will stop at exactly 3:35 a.m. Until 4:45 a.m., I am safe inside the security office. But if I am caught outside when the knocking starts, I have to hide. Anywhere. It doesn't matter where. Just cover my neck, block my ears, and pray. After 3:35 a.m., I have until 4:30 a.m. to return to the security office. If I make it back, I lock the door and continue my shift like normal. If I don't, the park will take me, consume me. I swallow, hard, and glance up from the list of rules. K and D are reading their own instructions, their faces twisted in disgust. The air in the office is heavy, oppressive. This isn't some hazing ritual or a sick joke. This is real. The clock reads 8:25 p.m., 5 minutes until my first patrol. I shove the paper into my pocket. "This is going to be hell," I mutter. "You think you have it bad?" D scoffs, shaking his head. "My rules are pretty messed up, but yours sound like the worst." K smirks. "I'll be watching you guys, on the cameras. Doesn't sound too bad for me." The second hand ticks over to 8:30 p.m. "Good luck, guys." K waves lazily as I step out, locking the office door behind me. I take a deep breath and head toward the outskirts of the park, mumbling under my breath, trying to psych myself up. But something is off. The grass beneath my boots feels too soft, almost unreal. And then I hear it, a voice. Not just any voice, mine. I stop. The air is thick, suffocating. My heartbeat pounds in my ears. There, outside the park's gate, stands me. My throat tightens. Before my mind can process the horror in front of me, my body moves on, instinct. I turn and sprint back toward the security office. My own screams chase me. They aren't coming from my throat, but they sound exactly like me. I risk a glance over my shoulder. I'm still standing there. No. It's still standing there. It hasn't moved an inch. It sees me noticing this. And then it does something I almost miss. It flickers, vanishing behind a tree outside the park. When it reappears, it's climbing the gate. Shit. My hands shake as I check my phone. 8:39 p.m. Something clicks in my head. Time is different here. I bolt. I force my legs to move, slamming into the security office door at full speed, unlocking it with trembling fingers, throwing myself inside and locking it behind me, just as the clock strikes 8:40 p.m. I collapse onto the chair, gasping for breath, my chest on fire. Holy shit. Kay stares at me, wide-eyed. "I was watching you on the cameras." His voice is unsteady. "You left the park, but you didn't move." I shake my head. "That's not what I saw." Kay's face pales. "You were just standing there, staring at the gate." But then I saw something else. Something that looked like you running in place. The cameras cut out for a second, and suddenly you reappeared right outside the security office, actually running. I tried to steady my breathing. I never left the park. I barely stepped onto the grass before I saw myself outside the gate. Kay doesn't respond. His eyes are dark, unreadable. I glance at the clock. 10 p.m. What? How is that possible? It was 8:40 just a second ago. Before I can process the missing time, the security office door bursts open with a deafening bang. Dee stumbles inside, his face twisted in terror. Something is wrong. Something is very, very wrong. The way Dee slammed the door behind him, his breathing ragged and his eyes wide, made my stomach twist. Okay, but you look like you've seen something. Probably like I did, I said, my voice unsteady. He shook his head, forcing a nervous chuckle. Holy shit, man, I blurted as he locked the door behind him. What? Can't a guy run into the same room as his friends while panicking for no reason? His voice was strained, like he was trying too hard to sound normal. He was always like that. Never wanted to admit anything was wrong. Never let himself be scared. But I could see it, plain as day. I just got spooked, all right? Thought I heard footsteps and just... I don't know. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. Kay stepped closer, his eyes narrowing, as he gestured toward Dee's arm. What's that gash? Dee instinctively tucked his arm behind him. Nothing. Probably scraped it running. You know me. Clumsy, clumsy, clumsy. I scoffed. We know you better than that. You saw something, didn't you? Silence. Then a sharp exhale. Fine, this place is haunted. I really did hit my arm while running, but I was running from something. A creature. It had, like 3 different bodies and 1 head. Something straight out of a goddamn nightmare. I wasn't paying attention. 1 second it was in the distance, the next, it was there. I had already finished checking the park, was heading back when it just appeared. I checked my watch. 10:29 p.m. Shit, I muttered under my breath. I turned and unlocked the door. Wait, where the hell are you going? Kay called after me. I didn't answer. Just slammed the door behind me before they could stop me. I sprinted toward the outskirts, my heart pounding. Halfway there, I froze. Shit, the door. I ran back, locked it, then bolted again. By the time I made it, nothing had happened. Maybe that meant I could take my break. I wandered around the park, trying to shake off the eerie feeling clawing at the edges of my mind. Then I saw it. The gate was open. Had it been open before? No, I would have noticed. But somehow I hadn't. Not when I first passed it, not when I came back the other way. I wanted to investigate, I really did. But a sudden bone-deep fatigue swept over me like a wave. My limbs felt like lead. I couldn't fight it. I fell asleep. I woke up with a start. The air felt wrong. Colder. Heavy. Something was watching me. I knew it. My breath hitched. My body was alert, running on instinct alone. Then, a sound. Low, guttural, unnatural. A roar. Demonic. I ran. Harder than I'd ever run in my life. My lungs burned, my legs ached, but I didn't stop. Couldn't stop. I didn't think. Just ran. I made it to the security office, fumbling with the keys, my hands slick with sweat. I barely managed to get the door open before I threw myself inside, slamming it shut and locking it. Where the hell have you been? Dee's voice rang out. I whirled around, chest heaving. I don't know why, but it scared me. Doesn't matter, I gasped. The clock, that's all that matters right now. He stared at me, baffled. What the hell do you mean it doesn't matter? Of course it matters. Look at your arm. I followed his gaze. My arm. A bite mark. It wasn't human. Wasn't animal. The teeth marks were jagged, uneven, unnatural. A shiver crawled up my spine. How did I not... My voice faltered. I hadn't noticed. Hadn't felt it. D grabbed my shoulder. Read the rules, now. My fingers trembled as I picked up the crumpled sheet of paper with the list of rules. Rule number 4. Whatever you do, do not fall asleep during your 10:30 shift, no matter how tired you suddenly feel. I read it, again and again, but the words didn't change. My stomach dropped. Then I saw it. Rule number 1. Do not under any circumstance break these rules. Be sure to check your rule sheet after every time you encounter a creature. This is your Bible for tonight, your safe haven. If you don't break any of the rules, you will receive a generous bonus in your bank account. I looked up. Dardy was staring at me, but something was off. The way he stood, the way his lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. That's when I realized this wasn't D, it was me.